The Scramble for Africa. A segment brought to you by 60 Minutes. The following program is rated TVMA for mature audiences. Viewers' discretion is advised. The meeting of Berlin was in 1884 through 1885. The European leaders met to decide how they were going to divide Africa for colonization. Though the U.S. was invited, we did not attend. One of the individuals known for contributing to the Scramble for Africa was Cecil Rhodes. He was an activist for imperial expansion. He accomplished the goal of creating a railway from Cape Colony to Cairo. He became the premier of Cape Colony in 1890. He named countries after himself like Rhodesia, but when the Africans rose up against his company's rule, he made deals with other tribes. Cecil Rhodes was also a successful businessman who founded the company De Beers, which today markets almost half of the world's rough diamonds. King Leopold II was the king of the Belgians from 1865 to 1909. He also founded the Congo Free State, which was a large area in Central Africa that was privately controlled by the king. The state lasted from 1885 to 1908, but infamy was imminent because of the harsh treatment of the local people there. Leopold extracted their main resources, which are ivory and rubber, and began selling them on a world market.
Henry Morton Stanley was an explorer. He is mainly associated with the Scramble for Africa due to his exploration on behalf of King Leopold. Leopold had Stanley to obtain treaties with the chiefs along the river Congo so that he may create his own colony. What Stanley did paved the way for many other European countries to do the same.
British imperialism in Africa brought changes throughout the continent. Some changes had a positive impact on the continent, while others had a negative effect. In the eyes of imperialists like Cecil Rhodes, the Scramble for Africa brought nothing but wealth and fame to the European countries and money into the pockets of the Europeans. Although British imperialism might have had a positive effect in this regard, it also meant poverty, slavery, unjust living conditions, and little control over their lives for the people of Africa. As Europeans gained more and more control of Africa, the conditions got worse for natives, so they became inferior to the whites. Cecil Rhodes once stated, "We are the finest race in the world, and the more of the world we inhabit, the better it is for the human race." With this sense of superiority over the Africans, they saw nothing wrong with beating, abusing, torturing, and even raping the African wives. "They inferred with our wives and our daughters and molested them," said Ndansi Kumalo, who watched everything he loved be abused growing up as an Abele warrior. Though the treatment of Britain was harsh, it paled in comparison to some of the other colonized tribes. Soldiers were to sever the hands of dead people if they were to hunt. Instead, they took the limbs of children and other people who were very much alive. As a result of that, some died due to excessive blood loss. Sometimes they would even take you into the forest and kill you there, then take your limbs. Though the Scramble for Africa was a terrible deed, one good thing that came out of it was education. The Scramble greatly impacted Africa. It left them scarred and broken. They had no food, for the European took the land and the cattle. They were taxed on everything they could be taxed on. They had to experience extreme brutality due to them supposedly being inferior, and they lost millions in the war. Besides the amputation, life in the Congo was harsh. There was never enough food, and when people didn't meet their quotas for collecting the rubber, they did not eat. People were brutally starved to death. 8 million people were killed due to his harsh treatment. Leopold only saw them as an expendable workforce and treated them as such. He could always just replace them with other people. Though Africa was diverse and many tribes were polytheistic, when colonization began, many of the Africans converted due to the missionaries that came along. The politicians and leaders were mainly the people who colonized the country, like King Leopold II and Queen Victoria. The scramble made a huge impact on Africa today and has left it a broken nation and continent. People still remember the harsh treatment from the colonies towards them, even after the scramble was over. A long-time effect was apartheid, and the natives were treated like they didn't belong in their own homeland. I believe Africa remains broken today due to the fact that they live in fear of new leaders and governments being corrupted due to their past of slavery and ruthless leadership.